attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all. My name is Neil Brazil, Head of Membership Services at MIM. Thank you for joining this webinar, co-hosted with Chartered Management Institute of the UK. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we'll be explaining how to get the most from MIMDirect, the Institute's new best-in-class desktop management portal, provided in collaboration with Chartered Management Institute and Siemens Malaysia. This webinar will explain how MIMDirect works, exactly what it offers, and how best to navigate the site. As we go along, those of you with questions, please type them into the box on the right-hand side of your screen marked questions. These will be addressed either in real time or at the end of the session. Kindly note that verbal questions cannot be taken. I would now like to hand over to my co-host, Kevin Saunders at Chartered Management Institute. Kevin?
Great, thank you very much, Neil, and thank you to everybody who's joining us today. It's terrific to see so many of you wanting to find out more about this service that's available to you. As we go through this, as Neil said, please do feel free to ask questions. We will be taking a recording of this event so that you can access this at a later stage. But first of all, you should be now looking at the login screen to MIMDirect. This is an access control system. Obviously, it's a benefit of your membership of MIMDirect. Many of you should already have received an email from MIM telling you what your username and password is for this service. But if not, please do feel free to contact MIM directly so that you can find out how to access this. And there are contact details on the MIM website. So I'm going to log in now, first of all, and this will take me to the homepage of MIMDirect. MIMDirect is a vast resource of materials in different formats to help support your professional development as a manager and a leader. It can help you deal with practical challenges in the workplace, as well as support your study towards management and leadership qualifications. So, where to start? Well, the easiest thing typically would be to use the free text search box. So up here we have a free text search box, much as you'd find on other search engines, and if you start typing, for example in this case for performance management, you will get a drop down that will suggest phrases or words that you might be looking for. So as I say, very much like search engines you'll be familiar with, so you can use this approach to select your term and run your search. Alternatively, you can look at this word cloud that we have here that shows the 36 most frequently used searches in MIMDirect. And these range from some of the big strategic issues that can keep managers and leaders awake at night, things like managing change, leading people, performance management or project management, down to some of the more technical or tactical skills that we all need, things like time management, decision making and information management. So whatever it is in respect to management and leadership that you need help with, there'll be materials there that can be available through the free text or the word cloud. I'm going to dive in and look at the phrase team building. So, you know, if you're working in an environment where you're trying to engender a better feeling of team development and team bonding, the resources here may well help you. So what we have now is a list of all the resources that have been keyworded or indexed by our knowledge management team against the phrase team building. But rather than just give you one big long list like you'd get from other search engines, we've summarized the results at the top into 3 broad headings. So we have the 5-minute briefing, the 20-minute briefing, and the extended briefing. So it may be that you have a meeting coming up in 10 or 15 minutes and you want to take some ideas into it, and you might want to perhaps watch a brief video or look at a model. Maybe your requirement is less urgent and you have a little bit more time. The 20-minute briefing will give you access to a range of more in-depth materials like our very popular checklists, like some of the e-learning materials that we have, or some journal articles. Or the extended briefing may be something that will support a longer-term program of professional development. So perhaps in your performance management discussions with your line manager, this might be a topic that you've been tasked to try and address over the coming months. So you might want to look at some longer-term materials, things like perhaps the e-books from our collection, or to look at some more in-depth interactive scenarios. So let's take a look at some of this material and give you a flavour of the rich range of resources that you can access here. The 5-minute briefing begins with a definition of the term you've selected. There are a number of self-assessment tests that you can run to benchmark your skills. And here you'll see we have a range of videos. Now these are videos from business leaders or academics bringing their own experience to bear. And the titles are usually very self-explanatory, so whether it's how to build teams or what makes an effective team, this 3 to 5 minute video will give you some good ideas to enable you to address this task. Next up, we have a range of models. Now, models appear frequently in management and leadership qualifications and training, but they also obviously have practical applications in the workplace. So whether it's something like, let's look at Tuckman's stages of team development. A very popular concept, simple model, but you may need a refresher on what that's all about. So in this case we're talking about forming, storming, norming and performing as stages in team development, and the model here is a good one-page, one-screen summary that will enable you to see what the model is, a graphic representation of it, an introduction, how can this help me, and where can I find out more. You also have a printer-friendly edition of this, which enables you to print it out and reference it from your desktop. And we have about 70 of these models, and we're adding to them all the time as new models become more popular in management and leadership training and development. So in this case you'll see we have, for example, Belbin's team roles, which is a very popular model, but again that's one that it's very often a challenge to try and remember what the actual different team roles are, so this is a great way to get a quick reminder or insight into it. We also have some pieces that come from the CMI website. We have blog pieces that are up-to-date references to this subject. So in this case, you'll see we have a fairly recent piece on 3 obstacles to shaping an effective team that will link you to a blog on our website that will give you more detail there. That's just an example of how we have sort of very up-to-date material being added all the time. We move into the 20-minute briefing next. And this starts with our checklists, which are the most popular content type within MIMDirect, and there's about 220 of them. And as you'll see here, we've got an introduction, we've got a definition of some of the key terms, and then the core of the content is the actual action checklist of the different stages that you might need to consider when addressing this topic. So in terms of steps into successful team building, we've got consider whether a team is the right option, define the objectives, consider the makeup, etc. And you'll see within some of the content there are hyperlinks to other pieces of content that might help your understanding of this particular stage in the checklist. We have a list of potential pitfalls as well. Whilst we're very much about demonstrating what good practice looks like, it can be important to have a sense of what bad practice might also look like. So here we have some guidance for what managers should avoid when they're looking to build a successful team. And then we have links to additional resources, so books from the ebook collection, which we'll be seeing more of in a moment, electronic journal articles, again we'll be speaking a little bit more about that in a moment, and other related checklists, thinkers and models, internet resources that may be of use. So these are really comprehensive resources. You again have the printer-friendly edition, and we know many of our users find this very useful. They might just print off the checklist and work their way through to make sure that they're addressing all the stages. And as I said, we've got about 220 of these, and they cover the tasks that a manager or leader might need to address at whatever stage of their career. So if that's perhaps preparing a presentation for the first time, something you might do in your early career, through to issues like managing staff through a period of change, the sort of thing that you might need to be involved in at a more senior level as your career progresses. So the checklists are the part of the core of the 20-minute briefing. We also have similar pieces that we call thinkers. So again, this is looking at the core work of some of the major thinkers of the last 150 years in management and leadership. So in this case, Meredith Belbin, Life and Key Ideas, looking at his work in perspective, and then summarising what some of those works are, and providing further reading. And again, these can be printed nicely so that you can access them as one sheet. So next up in the 20-minute briefing, we have a range of e-learning. So these are a great way of actually interacting, and they support people whose learning preference is not to just watch a video or to read text, but to actually interact with material. So here we have various stages in this one. It will take you through different views on what, in this case, a high-performance team looks like, what objectives might be, goals and alignment in this case. And you may be hearing in the background the audio that is what is shown here. So if you don't have sound attached, then you can read the audio here. But you'll see here there's a nice interactive piece here where you're asked to think about your own team and the way that they work, and then you can submit to get feedback on what that might mean in your own circumstances. So these e-modules have different types of interaction here. It might be a list of things to drag and drop into a different order. It might be a 2x2 matrix to put things into. So they're a nice way of interacting and getting a sense of what the issue is. Built into MIMDirect is access to something called the EBSCO Business Source Corporate Database. Now this is a vast resource of online journals, and to make life easier for our users, we've indexed over 10,000 of those articles so that they appear in the searches in ManagementDirect. And here's a good example. Here's an article from Harvard Business Review from June of last year, Leading the Team You Inherit. So here you'll see we've linked directly to the external database of these electronic journals, and you can now see the journal article as it appeared in the Harvard Business Review. And again, you've got all the standard options of printing or downloading that so that you can access it at a later stage. So, as I said, we've got over 10,000 of those indexed in the searches. You'll see from the summary at the top here that in this case there are 21 journal articles that have been linked to this search term. What we do is we show the first 5 in the list, but you can click more available to see more of those. And you can actually access this full database separately should you wish. Well, I'll show you that in a moment. We also have articles from CMI's magazine, Professional Manager. Those are indexed straight away as soon as they're published. We've got links to external websites which might provide more information around this subject. And we then move into the extended briefing. Now, we have a number of collections of content that we call learning journeys that have been put together. So these are, if you like, mini courses that address this subject. So in this case, we have one that's been created called Building Effective Teams. And we have an introduction that gives you an overview of the subject. And you can then move through to access some different pieces of content, such as we've already seen, to help your understanding. And then there's a concluding summary here that includes links to some of our ebooks from our collection to provide a further reading. So there are some nice sort of mini courses there as well that you can access to support your understanding. The interactive scenarios are good. These will take you about 30 or 40 minutes to work through. And again, these are higher end pieces of e-learning that are more about the application of learning than acquiring it in the first place. So you have an audio introduction you can work through. You are put in the situation of being this fictional manager in a fictional organization. This is our associate consultant who will appear time to time to give some feedback. And then you've got different pieces of information provided in either audio or text format that will give you some background for you then to make some decisions moving forward on addressing this particular management challenge. Those will take you about 30 or 40 minutes to work through. And then the extended briefing continues with access to some of the ebooks from our ebooks collection. One of the benefits of the ebooks is that they obviously can be very broadly distributed. We have a hard copy library at CMI, but obviously it's impractical for people all around the world to visit this. So we now put all of our investment in books into ebooks so that they can be distributed through the MIM portal. So here you'll see you've got access to this book online. You can navigate through the chapters, and you can indeed download it to so that you could read it on your iPad on the train whilst you're commuting, for example. We have a number of licenses that are always available for users to access directly should they wish, and it'll download and be available for up to 14 days for you. We've got over 600 ebooks in the collection now, and we continue to add new ones each month. So that's a quick sort of overview of the wide range of resources that we've got. We've looked at these all in the context of this one particular topic-based approach of looking at how to support successful team building. Though obviously you can cover all sorts of subject areas, as we can see from the word cloud. It can also help you with perhaps tactical questions. So, for example, someone might say in your organisation, shouldn't we be doing a Boston matrix on this? So if you type the word Boston and search, what it will do is go through all the material and try and pull out anything that's got the word Boston in it, so that you can see straight away, you can get a link to a summary of a model for the Boston matrix, which will help your understanding. This is actually a real example that happened to me once, and much as I'd already heard of this concept, I couldn't remember what it looked like and what the relevance of it was. So a quick reminder by looking at something like this was really helpful. But you also have, because we've run that search on the word Boston, it'll support your broader understanding around it, because, for example, we have our checklist on choosing a growth strategy for which the Boston matrix is a useful tool to use. We have journal articles that highlight that it appears in as well, and indeed books that reference it as well. So that can give you a sense of how you can approach this from a topic-based subject. So whatever the practical challenge you're facing, or whatever the issue you're trying to address in perhaps writing an assignment to complete a qualification, there are various ways you can search here. But once you're familiar with the content, you can actually access all the different content types through these menu items. The concepts menu will take you to a list of all the models, definitions, and thinkers. Multimedia will take you to a list of all of the videos, the e-modules, etc. And the best practice menu will, for example, will enable you to access all of those checklists that I mentioned, which we have summarized under a number of high-level headings to enable you to drill into those. So, for example, if you looked at the human resource management section here, you'll see we've got a very wide range of different checklists on different subjects here, whether this be around managing for diversity, managing absence, through to addressing issues of redundancy, self-welfare and well-being, etc. So hopefully we'll give you a flavour of the very wide range of topics that are covered by, for example, our checklists. Something we didn't see in that search that I ran was one of the document templates, and these are really good productivity tools. They can really help you address a task more quickly. So you might, for example, be asked to write a communications plan. And this may be, you may have a good idea of what you might need to do, but if you've not done it before, then it can be a bit daunting to start with a blank sheet or a blank screen. So by loading up our document template, you can see as you can see, it loads up in Word, and you've got the front page that you can customize and put your own organization name or logo on. There's an introduction to the template, and then an overview of the typical contents you might need in a document of this type. And for each of these headings, there's then some pointers for the sorts of things you might need to consider. So this can really give you the confidence that you're covering the sort of areas that need to be included in a document of this type, whether it be a communications plan, a marketing plan, a project initiation document, a business case. So, as I say, those are really good productivity tools. You can access the full range of ebooks from the Books and Articles menu. You can also go into the e-journals database that I mentioned. You'll see here that you've got a link that will take you straight into that database. But what we've done to try and help users is summarize some of the key titles that people tend to most frequently accessed. So for example, if you wanted to drill in to look at Harvard Business Review, we go into the database and you can see that should you really want to, you can actually go all the way back to 1922 online. You're more likely to be interested in the most recent issue, so you'll see here we have the most recently published copy of Harvard Business Review from March, April, and you can go straight to the articles that sit within it. So here we have the in this case it'll be the first article, the editorial from the most recent edition of Harvard Business Review. So that gives you a sense of the very extensive value that there is in the service. Other titles like Harvard, like McKinsey Quarterly, Management Today, People Management, etc., are all covered. But there are many, many more. And as I mentioned, we have over 10,000 articles indexed in the searches. CMI's own research is always added to the service as soon as it's published, so there is, hopefully you'll get a sense of the very wide range of content that is available to support your professional development. There's a number of other benefits as well. Obviously, if you're studying towards any form of management and leadership qualification or on a training course, we have a number of study skills that we can provide you with some support on, which will help you. So whether this is talking about writing assignments, learning styles, note-taking, speed reading, etc., there's some great resources there that can help you if you're studying. We have also access to the My Learning tab here, which will give you a number of options. So you'll recall we saw something called a learning journey. Now you can create your own learning journey to use as a revision guide or as a bookmark. As you navigate through the material, let's just go quickly on to the look at the material, for example, on communications. You'll see again the similar search that we've seen before. You'll see that as you work through, something we haven't seen before actually is one of these pearls of wisdom. These are also video content, but it's more in infographic format that highlights some of the key management principles. So these are really popular, and I really like these. But the point I was going to make is that next to each of the pieces of content, you'll see this button that says Add. So Add to Learning Journey is something that will enable you effectively to create a bookmark or a revision guide of your own, so that and you can manage this through the My Learning tab, through your My Learning Journeys, so that you can, if you find a material and you want to be able to locate it again quickly, you can use that. We also have an integrated continuing professional development recording tool in there. So the material that you look at within within MIMDirect will automatically be recorded in a log for you, so that if you want to remember what material it is that you've looked at and to think about the learning that you've achieved through that, then that is available through that tab. So yeah, another thing you can do from the More menu is go to What's New. This can be great to get a quick refresher on what new material has been added. So in this case, since February the 1st, we've added a new model. We've got 12 checklists have been updated and 53 new journal articles added. So that's a great way to see what the most up-to-date material is. And you'll see that that's actually one of the tabs on the home page as well. Obviously, we have a welcome from Mr. Seaver, the CEO of MIM, that will give you an overview of the service here and some of the resources available if you want a reminder. There is also a tab that will give you a little bit more background about how to navigate around the system through About MIMDirect. But I hope you found that useful. Obviously, if you have any questions, please do submit them. Neil, did you have any thoughts before we move into the questions?
Thanks, Kevin. So MIMDirect is a part of the standard membership benefits package for all our full individual members. So that's ordinary category and above. And for corporate members, they receive multiple access based on their employee size. So if you're a corporate member or ordinary member and above, MIMDirect is complimentary. If you're any other category, so if you're associate member or student member or affiliate member, there are options available to you to access MIMDirect, and we encourage you to contact MIM to discuss the various options.
Okay, great. Well, let's have a look at the questions we've had. One here is asking about how frequently the material is updated. That's a great question. As I think I've tried to give a sense of as we've gone through the material, the content, we're continually updating. So, for example, if there are new models that we come across, then these are added. The checklists that we looked at have a rolling program of updates, so that we're trying to ensure that each of those is updated at least once every 2 years. And that's done by our internal specialists within our knowledge management team, but also in conjunction with a panel of subject matter experts that we have from our broader membership that includes academics as well, who give us feedback on the content of those of that material. We're constantly adding new e-books and new journal articles, so as you've seen, when new articles are published from some of the journals in that database, then those are available to read straight away. So yes, we like to think that it's being updated on a regular basis so that you have access to the most up-to-date material. Another question here just asking if I could recap about the e-books and how you can access those. Yes, the e-books, we have, I think I mentioned, some 600 plus of these now, and if you want to see the full collection, you can access that via the e-books tab on the books and articles menu, much as you can with the, as we saw with the checklists. And again, if you want to dip into that, if we look at the books available on coaching and mentoring, you can then see a list of these. So I really like the fact that we've got the dust jackets of these visible, so you can actually see what the physical book looks like as well. But you can then drill into these to then review them online and then you've got the option with the vast majority of these titles to actually download them should you wish. So we have a system that enables there to be at least a couple of licenses available at all times for individual users to download so that they can put them onto an e-reader potentially to read on the read whilst they're commuting, for example. So we're finding that we're getting a lot of more users accessing the materials through this sort of route. There's another question there about how do I access it. I think hopefully we've covered that already. I think as Neil explained, that you, depending on your grade of membership, you have access to this. I know that MIM have already distributed usernames and passwords to a wide range of people. It may be that you've not seen that note, and so please do feel free to contact MIM directly to clarify your username and password and your rights to access this. We really want to encourage people to get the most out of this because we feel that there's a vast range of resources. Nowadays, when we're all very stretched for time, the ability to be able to access this sort of material online at your own convenience so that you can take control of your own learning and development is a really powerful option. Okay. Great. Well, I think we've covered most of the questions there. If there's anything that we see in the questions panel that we haven't been able to address, then we do obviously have the username, the email address for individuals who submitted these. So we will get back to you directly if necessary. But otherwise, I hope you found that useful, and we look forward to seeing you using the service soon. Neil?
Thank you, Kevin. Okay. We're going to close this webinar now. I'd like to thank my co-host today, Kevin Saunders, and all of you who took time out to join. I'm sure you'll agree with me that MIMDirect is a fantastic tool designed to upskill anyone with a professional interest in management. If you'd like to revisit this session, we'll be sending you a recording of the webinar as well as posting it to our website. You can also contact MIM directly with any questions you might have later on. With that said, let me wish you all a very pleasant afternoon and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.